What's up, everyone? Welcome to Wrestling is Fiction, the ultimate WWE fan fiction podcast. I'm your host, Zach Hannigan, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Darkstar Shady. On this show, we don't just talk about WWE, we create it. Every week, we dive into the latest WWE news and then take it to the next level with our own original wrestling stories and matches. From shocking betrayals to dream showdowns, we write the kind of epic moments that wrestling fans live for. So if you're ready for some over-the-top wrestling action with a twist of fiction, you've come to the right place. Step inside the squared circle and let's get into it.
What's up, everyone? Before we get into today's episode, it's time to go through a few of our sponsors. First off, you can head to darkstarshady.com/wrestlingisfiction to find links to everywhere that you can listen to us. From there, you can head to our sponsors page where you'll find a few different links. First off, you'll find the official sponsor of Wrestling is Fiction, Gengar's TCG shop on TikTok. He sells Pokemon cards through his TikTok shop, and he also does live rip and ships where you can have him open cards live on a stream for his audience and mail you your pulls afterwards. I've also partnered with a company called W. They make gaming energy drinks. If you go to w.gg and use code DARKSTAR10, you'll get 10% off your next order. I recommend the Galaxy Grenade flavor, which is watermelon, guava, and lime. I bought a few of their shaker bottles and multiple tubs of their energy drink powders, and I take a drink to work with me almost every day, and it gives me the jitterless energy I need to get through each day. Let's get to today's episode.
Welcome back, everyone. We are finally back on our regularly scheduled programming times. Steven and I actually are recording at the correct time, and you will get to listen to this Thursday morning. With that being said, I got on the old iPhone and I texted Steven a couple days ago and said, hey, let's do a ranking game from now on. And so our first ranking and or draft is going to be the best wrestling quotes or catchphrases of all time. I guess we'll just call them phrases, all-encompassing word for them. We'll each get 5 picks, and we're going to snake it. And when you guys listen to this episode, leave a comment on who you thought had a better draft or what we missed. I'm sure that we will leave a poll also for you guys to do. Anyway.
Yeah, this was honestly really hard for me. I spent a couple nights, looking up quotes, looking up catchphrases, trying to figure out if some of them were actually real. One of the things I did was I opened up ChatGPT and I was like, hey, give me a list of some of the most memorable quotes from WWE and from wrestling. And I asked it a few different ways, and some of the things it gave me I couldn't find actual sources for anywhere.
Yeah, AI lies to you sometimes, man.
So I just had to go through. I went through Reddit threads. I went through a couple different sports sites rankings. It was hard, but I think I've got a few of them. Hopefully you don't steal too many.
It was tough. There was a few I knew from memory that I knew had to be on here, but I'm sure you have some of them. So anyway, without further ado, I think you should get the number 1 pick, being I got the number 1 pick for our shows.
All right, are we going best to worst, or are we just not ranking them at all, or?
Yeah, best to worst.
All right, well...
Yeah, and we'll snake it from there.
All right, well, my best one, number 1 pick for me, it's actually not just a singular quote, it's an entire promo. It's Eddie Guerrero's promo to Brock Lesnar right before No Way Out. Just his entire speech about addiction to him before he won the title. Is that one that you had?
No, I didn't have it on here, and I don't have anything from Eddie Guerrero on my list, which now I'm disappointed about.
That one's one that I think about a lot, actually, and just a little piece of it. It's just, I'm addicted to the high I get when I go home and tell my family, hey, I'm doing it. I'm addicted to the satisfaction that I get to tell everyone like you that didn't believe in me that you can stick it up your ass. And he just goes on and on like that to Brock Lesnar, and that's honestly one of the best promos I've heard.
It's a good one.
And just the fact that Brock Lesnar put him over for his first WWE Championship at No Way Out, that was such a big moment.
All right, I'm going to go number one. A quote that a couple wrestlers have used, but I'm going to attribute it to the first one.
Okay.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay. That one came up a lot for me. I almost used that one.
Well,
that's a good one.
Since we're snaking, I'm going to go with one of my personal favorite promos, but I'm going to give you the famous quote from it. It's a Ric Flair interview. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yep, that was honestly going to be my next one.
Good, glad I took it.
Okay, so then I've got pick number 2 then. I think I'm going to go with a Bray Wyatt quote. If you look up at me, you will see a fiend. If you look down on me, you will see an enemy. But if you look me square in the eyes, you will see a god.
Yeah, that's a good one. I had some Bray Wyatt on here.
Yeah, there was a few of them I had all listed, and this one was one. It was listed as him saying to John Cena and Hulk Hogan.
That was deep in my rankings. I didn't think you were going to use it. I was trying to save it, but
I almost didn't. My top 3, I'm doing like actual quotes. Then after that, I have a bunch of catchphrases I'm going to fill in with the rest. So my number 3 pick is actually from Scott Hall's like Hall of Fame speech. Hard work pays off, dream comes true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Love it. I had that.
Did you? Yeah,
I did.
You would have to have that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with one of my favorite promo guys ever, Mr. Randy Savage. The cream always rises to the top. I will never forget him holding a little coffee creamer, up to the camera there. So that's my first third rounder. Fourth round, I feel like I gotta have this here because it is one of the most used catchphrases and memed catchphrases there is. I'm gonna go, "You can't see me," John Cena.
That's fair. You have to have that on there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be my 4th pick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to go with one that just has so many different versions, but it's very recent, and it's Cody Rhodes. I have to finish the story. Not just because of the quote from him, but just because of how it took over the internet when Cody almost lost his moment versus The Rock. And The Rock came in, and the entire internet just rallied behind Cody and his story.
The context is big there. My favorite Cody Rhodes quote is when he called Jacob Fatu a big dumb son of a bitch. I don't know.
I really enjoyed that too. There's a lot of good Cody Rhodes quotes out there, but this one, not just as a quote, but just the entire movement that came up behind it to keep Cody in the main event picture, whether it was actually a work on everyone or they actually did pivot the plan, like the internet exploded with that. And then I guess I get to go my number 5 then, since we're snaking.
Yeah.
Or no. Yeah, 5. I've got a few different ones here. I'm really torn on which one to go with. I think I have to go with one I actually didn't write down. But it's another one that was just probably the entirety of our childhoods. And that's just "Suck It" from DX.
Oh, man. Classic. I got 2 words for you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have that on here. I'm just
the amount of myself. I didn't have it on mine either, but I didn't want to use any of the other ones I have. But the amount of wrestling and non-wrestling fans that started using that in our childhoods, and just how big it became. And still, when you're at like WWE live shows, for anyone who hasn't been to one, in between the like commercial breaks you guys get on television, they play a lot of like games with the crowd, and one of them is just like a big DX Suck It segment where they just go through the crowd and everyone's just yeah.
You still got little kids doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite. There's like little 8-year-olds that are just aggressively.
Yeah. All right. My last pick, I have a few on here, but I'm going to go deep cut. It's one of my favorites from Ted DiBiase, actually.
Okay.
Every man has a price for the $1 Million Man. I just love the context of his character in that and saying that. And if I had a 6 pick, honorable mention, because I always love the story behind him earning this nickname, is Triple H. I am the game and I'm just that damn good.
I have that one. That was almost my last pick.
Yeah.
Right before I swerved to Suck It, that was literally like it's in bold on my list right here. And then I also do have It Doesn't Matter What Your Name Is.
Oh, yeah.
I have that.
If any Rock on here, we might be bad wrestling fans.
It's not that. It's just his are just snappy little catchphrases, and there's so many like actual big quotes I wanted to use. And then I did also have Acknowledge Me from Roman Reigns, just because of the amount of like hatred it brings to people.
Yeah.
Definitely not when Solo Sikoa says it, specifically Roman Reigns.
Do you have any Hulkster on there?
I didn't, actually.
Okay.
No. You got a couple of the ones I had on here, but...
Also, just one of my favorites, because I think I could do a whole one on Scott Hall, but his Say Hello to the Bad Guy is always one of my favorites. To really get the crowd pissed off. And then another guy we haven't mentioned, Kurt Angle. It's true. It's damn true.
Yeah, I almost said that one just now, too. There's so many, like, snappy little catchphrases that the two of us grew up with watching this.
Well... Yeah, and it's the ones I remember, and you know, a lot of these started off the cuff, so that's what makes them cool.
Yeah, and I mean, SmackDown itself is from one of The Rock's catchphrases, like the name SmackDown.
Yeah.
Randy Orton's had some great quotes. The Undertaker's had some great quotes.
We don't even have just our generic woo.
Yeah, that was almost on my list, but I wasn't sure if I should give it to Ric Flair, if I should give it to Kurt Angle. There was some really good CM Punk quotes, but I'm not a big enough fan of his to care to put him on the list.
Well, the best in the world is so cool, and to have it on shirts. I mean, but top 5, I don't know.
I think I have to get one of those shirts since I'm living my CM Punk dreams right now with my arm brace on.
You guys can't see him, but he is in full CM Punk arm brace.
Yeah, it's great. I'm trying not to show you my arm even because my skin is disgusting after having been wrapped for 5 weeks.
Have to fight a large Scotsman though, so he's a little bit better than...
I'm not going to lie to you. If that was actually CM Punk in an arm brace and he is anywhere near as much pain as I have just trying to learn how to move my arm again, that man is incredible. They unwrapped my arm, put me in the brace, and they're like, okay, let's see how much you can bend it. And I was like, absolutely not.
Speaking of Mr. Punk, I asked you this last night. This Drew McIntyre CM Punk rivalry, do you feel like it's losing steam at this point?
Yes. Yes, for one particular reason, and it's the fact that they're just going back and forth with these same promos, and neither of them are wrestling weekly. I think if CM Punk was doing something similar to what he was doing in Your Wrestling is Fiction show, where he's got an open challenge and he's wrestling people, trying to raise his stock or seem like a formidable opponent, it would have a little more steam, because right now he's just going for sneak attacks and the same promo week after week.
Yeah, speaking of CM Punk's open challenge on my show, big one this week. My issue with it is it felt less personal and more about this bracelet that CM Punk seemingly can't let go. And, at first, the whole thing was Drew is the one that gets distracted. And to be perfectly honest, I would like Drew McIntyre to be able to move on and start competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. But yeah, Raw's promo that they cut was awkward. It ended awkward. CM Punk's music just kind of hit. All Drew pretty much said is, "I'm not giving you the bracelet back."
Yeah.
And you end up with the strap match, which I don't know, man. I don't like that style of match based on the size difference between Punk and Drew. I don't realistically think CM Punk can drag Drew McIntyre around to touch all four corners.
Yeah, it's not a fitting match type for the two of them at all. And this is jumping ahead to our recap we'll do in a little bit, but they have the problem, like I said, where they're not fighting matches. That's almost the problem I had with Randy and Gunther yesterday, until Randy Orton actually had a match at the end of the night. Like, I was about to make the same complaint about them until they actually gave Randy something else to do rather than just cut the same promo week after week.
Well, I think the issue they're running into right now is, who does Drew McIntyre realistically wrestle right now?
I mean, give him the Braun Breaker treatment. Throw a developmental star at him just to have him on TV doing something in the ring other than just using the exact same promo every week.
And I mean, we haven't seen CM Punk wrestle hardly at all. He should probably be in the ring, getting a couple tune-up matches before he goes into a fucking strap match. And I feel like it probably is eventually leading to an I Quit or last man standing match, which I like that format much better. But strap match, I don't know. It'll be fun to see. I can't remember the last time I saw one, so
yeah, it's definitely going to be a unique, like, fun match as far as it being a new gimmick that we haven't seen very much of. But like you said, the size difference between them makes it a little less realistic. And the fact that neither of them are building up to it with any kind of other matches at all. Like, it's just straight up promo after promo after promo.
And I used to love their promos. I was like, I can listen to this all night long. But last Raw, it was just short and awkward. And it's like they wanted to throw those two guys on the show real quick, but ran out of time.
It's because they haven't done anything to have any new things to bring up. They haven't wrestled a match to say, hey, look at the way you lost. Look at how unclean that finish was. Like, give them new material rather than just the same recycled promo.
And the match also that they fought at SummerSlam had the Seth Rollins element. They haven't even fought a clean, just one-on-one match without the distraction of it all. So I would even have liked them to start with that.
Yeah, I think going straight into a gimmick match rather than building up to it as a way to, like, finish out the feud is a little strange as well.
But yeah, or we could even have put them in a tag team match. Where they face off, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they just need something different than what they've been doing to keep this feud going if they want to keep it.
All right, well, what do we want to talk about?
Do we want to go into our recaps? Do you have any more questions you want to throw at me first?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Our friend, the Viper, Mr. Randy Orton, going into Bash in Berlin for a chance to win what I believe is his 15th world title.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's not going to.
It's obviously.
First defense. Randy Orton loses another PLE. Was this the best choice for Gunther's first defense?
It's hard to say yes to this, but I think I have to say yes to this. The problem is that Gunther didn't have a super clean win over Damian Priest. That was a match that Damian Priest honestly should have won if it wasn't for Finn Balor's interference. So Gunther needs someone really who's already built up and believable for this match. He needs someone almost too big to beat. Randy Orton obviously is not going to win this match, and he's probably not going to get another chance at this title for quite a while if he does. Unless they do build this into a multi-PLE feud between the two of them. I honestly don't know that I see that coming. But Randy's obviously okay with putting people over right now. I think we've mentioned multiple times how he has very few wins at the moment. But despite the fact that he hasn't been winning, he gives it his all every time. He puts on fantastic matches, and he could take a loss while still looking strong and elevate Gunther to a point where he is a better champion after his previous finish.
Ooh, I disagree.
Do you?
I am happy to see Randy get a big match and his name back in the main event picture. To address your points, one, Gunther won King of the Ring and was the longest reigning IC champion. He doesn't need to beat Randy Orton to be a more believable champion. Secondly, I don't want to see him beat Randy Orton. He's beaten enough legends at this point. I want Randy Orton to get a win. And I think it would have been a good opportunity to give somebody else on the Raw roster, maybe a mid-card guy, a run similar to the Shinsuke Nakamura Cody Rhodes rivalry. Or excuse me, Shinsuke and Seth rivalry, where you kind of build somebody up who may or may not win, but give them a good showing. Guys like Ilya Dragunov would have been cool. I'm not sure if he's really injured or not. Even Sami Zayn with the history he has with him. Fuck, even Jey Uso.
Poor Jey.
Which we don't even really see on Raw anymore. But that's neither here nor there. I don't like the Randy Orton right away. I think it would have been a cooler match if it was one of the big four PLEs and Gunther had already ran through most of the Raw roster.
That's fair. I think that for Gunther, saving one of the big four PLEs for someone like an Ilya or Sammy or Jay or just literally anyone else on the roster will build that other person up more than it would help Randy down the line, though. And I think that
the big fours aren't really about building people up anymore. People want to see the stars there.
They're not, but if they can have Gunther, who is this person who hasn't been in the main event before, and build him up to that point and build someone up with him, that would really give legitimacy to the future of WWE rather than keeping Randy there. And I do think that Randy taking this loss can set him up for a way to pivot him against Cody later, where he lost this title match as well.
Or how about Finn Balor immediately trying to take the world championship? Another insult to injury to Damian Priest.
Do you know how badly I'd actually want that, but they refuse to give Finn Balor anything?
Or even, I mean, and it's probably coming, the Ludwig Kaiser turn.
That would be a really interesting match because he's nowhere near the title pictures as it is now.
No.
But I think he's fantastic, and it would be really interesting to see him turn on Gunther and try to just go straight to the top immediately.
Well, I mean, he put on a hell of a match with Randy Orton. Before that with Sheamus. I mean, he puts on good matches.
Yeah, and that's something I was going to bring up later in our recap, but the one thing I'm really excited for Gunther is to see Ludwig Kaiser get bigger matches. Seeing him in the ring with Randy and having him show off his wrestling abilities with one of the greatest wrestlers was pretty amazing for him, I'm sure. Giving him a bigger spotlight immediately.
Well, I like the fact we didn't get interference from Gunther either.
Yeah.
Especially when Randy was actively murdering Ludwig Kaiser by dropping him on the announce table. I think it was 4 times.
Yeah. No, and seeing Randy do things like that pick Ludwig up and just throw him over backwards over his head. Like, Randy doesn't pull moves like that out very often. Like, he talked in an interview with Logan Paul on his podcast, and he was like, yeah, I got hurt early in my career and kind of just overprotected myself, and I don't have to do the big moves, so I don't. But then seeing him pull out those big moves is pretty impressive.
Well, I think adding what's probably close to 100 pounds of muscle when he came in is probably helpful too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we can go into a little bit of recap. I mean, we kind of already are. With SmackDown, interesting ending. I don't remember the last time I saw Roman Reigns and end a show like that, just defeated.
Yeah, and if it wasn't his literal family doing it, I don't know if Roman would have like put anyone else over like that.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, no, it looked like for a second there he was going to dominate the bloodline single-handedly again until Jacob Fatu came out in his walking boot.
Yeah. The crippled Samoan werewolf.
Still powerful enough to somehow take out Roman Reigns and not be the leader of the bloodline.
I have a little bit of beef with that. I think their first face-off should have been a larger moment than that, where Roman Reigns isn't triple teamed like that. But again, Tongaloa is the most unintentionally funny character. I can just, every time I see him, it's like, your eye is not hurt anymore, dude. You got poked in the eye like a month ago.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we're supposed to take him seriously, or if he's the R-Truth or Carlito of the bloodline now, without even having to say anything.
I think so.
But yeah, no, that was a really interesting, different ending, but I do agree. I did not expect to see Jacob Fatu come out yet. No. I thought they would keep him and Roman apart a little longer until they actually either put him in a ring together for a match, or he came out to ruin a PLE match or something.
Well, it's also that they need to defend their tag titles.
Yeah.
So Jacob Fatu needs to be okay. If I'm not mistaken, they have a match this coming Friday.
Possibly.
I think the Street Profits beat
yeah.
DIY for it.
Yeah, they did beat them for that. So I guess this does bring the Street Profits back in with the Bloodline somehow after having had them kind of mixing up with them for a while and then pulling them back and putting them just back into the regular tag division.
I don't mind it. That match was amazing, by the way, with DIY.
Yeah.
Several instances I thought DIY was going to win. And part of me wishes they would get their rematch, but I'm happy for the Street Profits to get it too. If they put on a match like that with Bloodline, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I think the Street Profits are both incredibly talented as a tag team and both individually as well. I wouldn't mind seeing them take the tag titles from the Bloodline because I don't know what else the Bloodline's going to do with them. Though I wish DIY had a longer reign. I don't know how much sense it made for the Bloodline to take those titles.
I don't mind the length of the reign. I mind how it ended with how obvious it was that the Bloodline won this tournament. Tongaloa can't compete. They just made it all too obvious that they were going to take the titles. And yeah, now it doesn't make sense with Roman back. How often are they going to defend him?
Yeah, unless they have Roman assembling his team and puts up two people against them for the titles, like what's the point of having them at the moment?
And are we ever going to see Paul Heyman again?
Paul Heyman actually was just asked when he was coming back to the Bloodline storyline. Did you see what he said to that?
No.
He said that he will come back when it makes sense that he has something to add, because he wants to give more to Roman Reigns to make him better rather than ride his coattails. And he was like, it's not my time yet. So, interesting to see how long it is before. I wonder if it's kind of a Roman is on his own for a bit and Paul Heyman comes back and gives him the, I think you need to go talk to some of your family again.
Before we hear Roman Reigns utter a word.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised he hasn't said anything yet. I think it might get to the point where he doesn't talk until he's either been through so much getting beat down by this bloodline or something drastic happens where maybe Paul Heyman does have to make him utter those first words by saying, I think you need your family again, or something like that. Something very Fast and the Furious Vin Diesel.
Well, yeah, eventually Jimmy Uso's going to need to come back. And it kind of feels like they're just holding Jey in this pattern until he joins that story. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Jey is going to enter that Intercontinental title tournament. Which obviously he's not going to win because why would they let him win anything? But
I wouldn't want him to face Braun Breaker at this point in the reign anyway.
I don't know if I want anyone to face Braun Breaker. Like, whoever does is just going to get broken in half, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously Jey Uso is in another tournament that he's going to get close to winning and lose, or somehow win and lose again after that. And they had talked about him and Sammy going after those tag titles, and now he's telling everyone that Sammy is not coming back right away. And
yeah, what was that about?
Just like, hey, where's Sami Zayn? He's like, oh, he needs some time off. It's all good, though. He told me to go after the title without him.
I don't understand what that was all about. And honestly, I mean, JD and Finn haven't really defended them.
No. We've got both sets of tag titles split up so that we could have more people competing for them, and no one's competing for them.
And there's definitely a lot of tag teams on Raw that... Like, I'm surprised Chad Gable hasn't had the Creed brothers go after him yet.
Yeah. And this is obviously jumping to Raw, but they have a tag team they could put together in Jey Uso and Damian Priest to go against the Bloodline. When they were... Okay, first of all, they obviously listened to our show and said, okay, thank you for telling us we need to beat down Damian and Rhea. We'll do it for you. But during that whole segment, when they were just absolutely destroying them, the entire crowd was chanting for Jey Uso to come out for the save.
Yeah, I mean, I get why he didn't. They've been nothing but a pain in the ass for him.
Oh, so. Absolutely. But he does carry a little bit of a flame for Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might happen eventually.
Yeah. And
okay. Now that we're on Judgment Day... I have my theory I was telling you about.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think Carlito is a double agent, and he secretly works with Damian and Rhea. And I think this because every time somebody new wanted to join the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley was like, no. Damian Priest was like, absolutely not. Carlito kind of just shows up. He's around. Rhea's just like, oh, it's fine if he's here. Not a big deal. I don't know, man. I think Carlito... he's in it for the PlayStation, so wherever that goes. No, that's my theory. I
honestly,
have further evidence.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about that at all, but it would make sense just for the fact that Damian did let him stay.
He's the only one no one knows either.
Yeah.
Like, Finn has worked with all the other ones.
Yeah, he's just kind of there. And I'm honestly surprised that he was allowed to continue to be there. And he's still there somehow.
Yeah, just like having him around.
Like, he really was just there for the PlayStation and the cool
Comedic
clubhouse.
Relief. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Damian was more friendly towards him than we do see on the screen. That wouldn't surprise me at all, and it would kind of, I don't know, I think the Judgment Day right now is a little overcrowded.
Yeah, that was my big theory for you that I texted you last night that said I
Okay.
was going to let you know on air.
I haven't thought about this at all, but it would not surprise me one bit because Carlito kind of just shows up places and teams up with whoever's there, honestly.
He turns on factions. It's his
He
thing.
does. He does. So it wouldn't surprise me if him and Damian have been talking backstage out of the side of the rest of the Judgment Day.
Well, and then, you're able to do your tag matches.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be a good twist. They're obviously never going to let Dominic Mysterio team back up with Damian. He hates JD, and Carlito would be the only person that makes sense to leave that faction at the moment, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I want to ask you, is Dom the greatest heel of our generation? He somehow went from being a heel to a heel again.
Yeah, he went more heel.
Yeah. Which was almost impossible when the crowd wouldn't even let him talk.
Yeah, and I think they were like, his boos aren't quite as loud as they used to be. Let's make him worse. Like, people hate him, but they love that he's with Rhea. Let's fuck it up.
Let's make the one thing everyone loves about him, Rhea Ripley, and make him betray her.
Yeah, he has to be in the conversation at least for one of the greatest right now. In WWE, I don't know who really competes with that level of heel.
No, there's no one right now, and it seems effortless.
And even when Roman Reigns was champion and the biggest heel, supposedly, like, he wasn't getting the hatred that Dominic gets. He was getting more of like an angry respect.
Yeah, he was a well-liked heel. But it's straight up, people hate Dominic Mysterio.
I think the closest we could even get at the moment would probably be some of MJF's stuff over in AEW. But even then, they kind of turned him more face for a while, and that kind of killed that momentum.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's recaptured the same level since he's come back either.
No, I don't think he cares. He signed for a lot of fucking money, so
yeah. So I think that was his closest competition for greatest heel.
Yeah.
Up until he kind of backed away from that. So Dominic Mysterio might just be
the most dirtbag moves you could think of, and he keeps doing it. Like, I want to fight Damian Priest. Come on, Priest. He doesn't want to fight you. Dude never challenges anybody to matches.
And somehow Damian saw the entire Judgment Day behind him and turned around just in time to take everyone out for a moment.
And nobody sells anything quite like JD McDonough, I swear. He'll get clothesline and backflip 3 times. And
Yeah, I think he's more talented than people realize for the way he's used. Yeah, no, Judgment Day, man. Both shows had some other segments I really liked. We finally got a little bit of a tension between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax on SmackDown to open the show. Nia was like, "This is a little too pink for me."
Pretty Deadly was amazing during that.
Just for no reason, Tiffany's like, "I'm going to use them."
Yeah, we need a musical.
And then Nia Jax just being like, "Everyone bow down," and then being like, "You too, Tiffany," and she's like, "What, me?"
Yeah, it's coming. I hope it's a slower burn than that, because I think it's going to be. It's got to be really ripe for betrayal, and I don't really know who's Nia's opponent would be right now outside of Tiffany. Maybe Bayley gets her rematch. Who knows?
I mean, it looks like they're building up Michin,
yeah.
which
honestly, I would like to see a Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill kind of get back into the championship picture. Well, not Jade, Bianca. It would be Jade's first time in WWE, but there's a lot of powerful women on SmackDown.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hard thing is it does seem like Tiffany is going to be the one to take that title with her briefcase. But who do they fill time with in the meantime to give Nia a meaningful run? Who can both be in the ring with her believably and not have the crowd want them to win like Bianca Belair would?
Yeah, I liked Michin move at first. I mean, she had been interrupting her matches prior anyway, so it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone would have...
Anything on SmackDown? You got beef?
What was that?
I said, do you got beef with anything that happened on SmackDown? I feel like you usually do.
Not really. I really liked Blair Davenport getting a win over Naomi.
That surprised me. Didn't see that coming.
I really like Blair Davenport.
Yeah.
I really like Blair Davenport, and I really like the fact that they're kind of aligning her with Alba and Isla.
Makes a lot of sense.
They've got that like 6-woman tag match coming up next week. So I'm very excited for that. And then we got Kevin Owens kind of getting fired up against Grayson Waller.
The backstage part, those three together backstage always make good segments. Specifically, when you punched them both in the face.
Yeah. No, and the only thing I wish had happened there is I wish there was a moment where, like, Cody very obviously slid the title all the way across the ring to Kevin Owens when he slid in to save him.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a moment where Kevin Owens kind of looked at the title and looked at Cody and was in that mindset where he was just beating the shit out of people, where he was a little more like, maybe I do want to take this from you.
The prize fighter era. He was one of the biggest heels in WWE with that gimmick.
Yeah, and he obviously came out fired up, angry, and I wish it had transferred a little bit to him looking at the title and realizing how much he wants this title shot.
We got one more week.
We do. I expected more from the way Cody threw the title in, and it was literally sitting at Kevin's feet.
Well, actually, what do we got? 2 more weeks? 2 more SmackDowns? Yeah.
Yeah. This coming one and then the next one.
Yeah.
So that does mean that next week will be our event, doesn't it?
Yeah. I got no beef with SmackDown either, but I got Raw beef.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I wanted to see the Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile match.
Yeah.
How it started with Maxine just tossing her around and showing that side we haven't seen from her. She looks in great wrestling shape. Obviously, when you're facing Ivy Nile, it's hard to look like that. She has like 2% body fat. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to see that match or at least go a little longer. I think it went maybe a minute before the Wyatt 6 interrupted.
Yeah, and Maxine hitting that like suplex outside of the ring was pretty impressive too.
The fisherman? The John Cena-esque suplex?
Right onto the ground out there. Poor Ivy Nile didn't know what was coming towards her.
Yeah, that was good. Threw her into the barricade a couple times.
They did do something, though, just for you, Zach. Did you hear them actually say Nikki Cross's name?
Oh, yeah. No, I should mention that. Cole finally said it. Instead
he was like,
whatever that thing is.
Yeah. He was finally like, Nikki Cross thinks that she's...
Yeah. It's like, we finally revealed everyone but her. No, I thought there was a moment where she was going to unmask for a minute. And then she didn't because Uncle Howdy showed up. And we get to see him in action next Raw, which will be cool.
It will be cool because we've gotten same thing with that we were complaining about with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They've just been doing the same spot every single week. So it'll be nice to get Uncle Howdy involved.
Yeah, the Wyatt 6, I feel like, has an easier time doing it with just the type of characters they're playing. They're supposed to be a little mysterious, but yeah, I get it. My only beef with Raw, and I also... the Gunther and Randy promo to begin with, I felt like was just a repeat of the week before.
Yeah, I don't know that we needed that when we got Gunther and Randy in the main event.
Yeah. Well, and Sheamus and Pete Dunne would have been just a hell of an opener for Raw without Randy Orton. It was a good match.
Yeah, I will say, Pete Dunne is pulling double time right now.
I know.
He had matches back to back on Raw and NXT and lost both of them.
Yeah, bad loss. Our boy Joe Hendry getting a title shot.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I don't think we needed Randy and Gunther to open the show. This sounds awful, but I just can't get myself to care about Sheamus right now. He put in a great match with Pete Dunne, but I just don't care about that feud at all.
It's kind of a meaningless feud. I like Sheamus matches. He does put on good matches, but yeah, promos and such, I could do without him. One rivalry starting up, which seems to be fun, is Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed.
Yeah, you were asking where Braun Strowman's been, what he's gonna do, and then he shows up to stare
Right
down.
when Bronson's getting ready to lay out his new victim, I was thinking to myself, if Braun's thing is with bullies, where is he at? And then
And he came running out.
yeah.
And the Miz having his moment of, I don't think I want to do this, but I have to.
I love the Miz. He can't get out of being a heel. He's like, no, I don't want to fight that guy.
He looked so scared. Like, he looked genuinely scared about it, too.
Oh, man.
The Miz is so underrated.
Yeah, he's good. He's, I don't know. I think the Miz is a good point for Bronson Reed as far as accomplishments and getting good wins under his belt. And I think the Braun Strowman thing will be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be a good match, and I think this is finally a storyline where I can get a little bit behind having Bronson Reed on the screen so much.
Finally in his own storyline.
Yeah, he's not interrupting other people's storylines. He's not just being thrown into a triple threat just to be there. He's finally got his own thing going, and that's going to work a lot better, I think. We've got the New Day and Final Testament match, which you got a little more Xavier Woods frustration when he wasn't the one who Kofi tagged.
Is the Final Testament ever going to win?
No.
Like, that match didn't make sense for New Day to win to me.
Yeah, I think if they've been showing this frustration and anger, they should have lost it.
Building tension. Yeah, they should have lost. And it's like, I think I texted you this last night. It was a question for you. Like, is that it for the Final Testament? What are we doing with them?
Yeah, I don't understand how they can put forward a dominant-looking team and not let them win anything.
Well, they don't, like... If they're going to go after somebody, New Day isn't it. They need to start wrecking people higher up in the card. Paul Ellering, whatever his job is to get title matches and stuff, doesn't do anything.
Yeah. As a group, I think they've got a great look. They've got a great presentation, but they don't have the stories or the dominance.
No, I honestly think it's either they go and dominate or that should be it for them. Pull the plug on the experiment because it doesn't seem to be getting any reaction from the fans. Good or bad.
No, they're just kind of there at this point. It's almost what I thought DIY was going to end up as, because they didn't get much of a reaction their first few times out before they got the crowd behind them, but Final Testament's been having that string of indifference for a lot longer at this point.
Yeah, long time.
I think we've talked about almost all of Raw already by accident before now, except for the women's triple threat title match.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Io Sky looked great.
Yeah, Io and Kairi both did amazing in that match.
I didn't expect anybody to take the titles off of them, but
No, I didn't.
Fusion Collective, if that's right, I think.
Yeah,
They didn't look
awful
great.
name. No, they didn't look great. I know the champions took the titles by kind of just jumping on an opportunity in the middle of a match that wasn't really theirs. But I
Oh,
would
they
have
were?
liked it. But I would have liked them to have defended them a little stronger. Like they made Damage Control look amazing that whole match, and Alba and Isla just kind of came in at the end again.
Yeah, I mean that's how they won the titles. I thought the finishing move was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't mind the match. I know we want dominant champions all the time, but I don't think everybody can be that. And I think we know that these titles are probably headed to one of those two groups eventually.
yeah, and it's not even that I want them to be dominant. I would have just liked them to be actually in the ring more often than they were.
Yeah.
Like they were just literally not in the ring or even on the apron most of the time.
Yeah, until towards the end of the match, they definitely were not really a part of the match.
But Io and Kyrie both did look amazing out there. They put on a great match almost single-handedly.
All right, well, do you want to give the people what they want? Some fan fiction?
Yeah, I think we're at that point now. I don't think I have anything else to complain about or...
No beef.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I didn't have more issue with SmackDown, honestly. I won't say it's as good as Raw yet, but it was more watchable than it has been in a long time.
It was. It was.
All
Your
right,
SmackDowns are always watchable, though. Or
yeah,
hearable, I should say.
yeah, and we're starting off with Jey Uso coming out. And he comes out, and he's just, he's in his ring gear. He's got his title, he's celebrating in the ring, holding it up, getting up on the turnbuckles. But then he hops down, gets in the middle of the ring, and he says that he came out saying he wanted to be a strong champion and a fighting champion, so anyone who wants their shot today, come out to the ring and they'll open the show with a U.S. title match. And someone actually takes that opportunity pretty quickly. Ricochet's music hits, and he comes out to the ring. He's been teaming with Wesley, kind of staying in the tag division, but he saw an opportunity and he jumped before anyone else could. And Ricochet comes out, and he comes out, and Jey looks at him, and he actually just shakes his hand. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm good with this. Let's have this match. And it starts off very, very fast paced. Obviously, Ricochet loves that high flying, speeded up, quick offense, and he starts off quickly. He running back and forth. He's got some arm drags, throwing Jey Uso around. Hits a drop kick that knocks Jey out of the ring, and that kind of just lets Jey out of the ring a little dazed for a second before Ricochet goes for one of those suicide dives, jumping over the top rope and knocking Jey down. And they're outside of the ring. Ricochet kind of dazed himself a little bit. Jey's trying to shake it off but can't. But Jey gets up pretty quickly, and he gets Ricochet and kind of throws him into the announce table, and not onto it, just against it a few times, kind of slowing him down before he throws him back in the ring. And Ricochet actually gets back in the ring, shakes it off, and starts kind of trying to take control again. And what happens is Jey ducks under one of Ricochet's springboard clotheslines and hits him with a super kick. Knocks him back, and Ricochet tries to run back at him, but Jey grabs him, picks him up, and hits him with a Samoan drop before he gets up onto the top turnbuckle and hits his Uso splash to win. And he retains his championship.
That is first or second defense?
Second, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, because he defended against Dijak, who, speaking of, backstage, Dijak was actually at a monitor watching that whole match happen as well.
Every large man walking around just SmackDown.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was backstage watching, just waiting, seeing what's going on with that U.S. title. And then that takes us into our next match, where my internet disconnects again. Am I here? Am I back? Okay.
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. My next match is actually going to be Gigi Dolan and Tegan Nox. Tegan's been teaming with Natalya, and she's just getting a little solo shot here at Gigi Dolan. And Gigi comes out really aggressive again. But Tegan Nox takes the advantage pretty quickly from her. And she actually gets kind of blindsided, though, and Gigi hits her finisher out of nowhere. But Tegan Nox kicks out at a very, very near 3 count. And that goes back and forth for a little bit longer before Tegan gets her Shiniest Wizard finisher and finishes Gigi off. And she leaves and just leaves Gigi in the center of the ring. Just beaten again. Can't catch a break at the moment.
No, she cannot.
And we come back from break, and it shows Gigi walking through the backstage area. And she looks over into one of the rooms, and she sees the lights flickering on and off in that room. And she actually just walks into it. And then
Another mysterious light flickering incident.
Yeah. The camera doesn't follow her in, but it does turn to another room backstage. And it's Liv Morgan and Stephanie McMahon are back there. And they're talking about their tag match and how frustrated they are. And Liv is just kind of questioning her. She's like, "What's going on? Why did you screw me out of that shot? Like that tag last week, like we could have had that match won and you jumped off the apron." And Stephanie was like, no, that was a miscommunication. I didn't mean to do anything, cause you any harm. Like, my bad. Tell you what, next week the two of us will go back at him again. We'll have another tag match and we'll get that win again.
Okay, Steph.
Yeah. Liv is trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, she's starting to kind of question whether or not she should have been trusting her as much as she is. And then that puts us into the ring again, where Randy Orton comes out and the crowd is singing his song. He gets to the ring and he's like, "Okay, tonight's the night. No Damian Priest, no nothing. Me and JD are going one-on-one tonight. I already paired it with Nick Aldis, and I am getting my shot at JD so that I can go back against Finn Balor at Bash in Berlin." And Finn comes up on the Jumbotron, and he's like, "You want your match? Fine. JD's ready. Tonight, main event, you and him are going one-on-one. If you can get through this, you can have your shot at me again."
Fucking dogs.
And then this will take us into a tag title match. The Wolf Dogs are getting their tag title match against DIY. And it's pretty dominant for the Wolf Dogs early on. They're isolating Dexter Lumis, trying to keep him worn down since he's kind of been the muscle. So they're making very quick tags in and out. They're keeping him on their side of the ropes. They're kind of just dominating him. Braun's got him pinned in the turnbuckle, kind of just shouldering him repeatedly, like almost like a little mini spears right there in the turnbuckle. And Braun tags Baron Corbin in. And right in the middle of the ring, Baron Corbin goes for his end of days. And as he's going for that, Dexter Lumis just has enough strength to kind of just wiggle out of it and get himself over to Tommaso Ciampa. And Ciampa's kind of bringing the momentum up. And he goes over to Braun Breaker, who's over in the corner waiting, and he knocks him off of the side over there and just takes him out of the equation for a moment. And then Braun starts... Ciampa starts going after Lumis again. He's got him in the corner. And Ciampa's just hitting him repeatedly, chopping him repeatedly in the corner until the ref finally pulls him back. And Ciampa starts arguing with the ref. And while the ref has got his back turned, Dexter Lumis gets in the ring as Baron Corbin is kind of getting away from the turnbuckle, and he hits him with a low blow and rolls out of the ring. And that gives Tommaso Ciampa a chance to hit his finisher. And 3 count, they retain their titles.
Poor Wolf Dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, he was not super happy with that. They took another loss. They wanted those titles. They thought this was their chance. And once again, this new version of DIY keeps their titles with some cheap tactics. Then I think I've only got one more thing going here. Actually, surprisingly. Yeah, so we're into my main event already. And we've got Randy Orton and JD McDonough. And JD actually takes an early lead. Randy Orton's obviously put on a lot of muscle mass. JD is using that to his advantage to just work around him quicker. He's speeding it up. He's kind of just trying to outpace Randy. And he's also targeting Randy's knee a lot. He's kicking him in the back of the knee. He's trying to swerve around him. He's bouncing off the ropes and hitting some little quick chop blocks down to his knee, just taking him down, trying to get him a little bit lower, a little bit slowed down. And you can tell that Randy's starting to feel like this. After about 5-6 minutes of this, Randy's starting to kind of limp around a bit. But one of the times JD's coming off the ropes, Randy turns around fast enough to hit his little snap power slam. He's getting a little bit of momentum back, and he actually hits his DDT off the ropes to JD onto his giant head. Does a little extra damage that way. And then Randy actually goes for his RKO after that. He's got him on the ground. He's coiling up. JD gets up, and he pushes Randy off of him. And Randy goes off the ropes, and JD hits his Enziguri kick and takes Randy out for a second longer. JD thinks this is his moment. He gets up onto the top rope and goes to jump onto Randy, and Randy hops up and hits his RKO. And Randy does get that 3 count.
Got him.
So Randy's standing in the ring right at the end of the show, and that's when Damian Priest's music hits. But rather than coming down the rope, Damian Priest grabs Randy by the ankles from behind and pulls him down to the ground, pulls him out of the ring, and just throws him against the announce table and starts chopping at him. Randy starts to fight back. He clears the table off, but right when he does, Damian Priest grabs him in a chokeslam and puts him through the table to end the show. And that's your SmackDown for this week.
Randy's an old man, man. You can't be putting him through tables.
Yeah, well, Damian feels he deserved his rematch, and Randy doesn't deserve another shot at it, so the two of them are going to have to hash this out next week.
All right, so we got the August 26th Raw going here, and it kicks off. CM Punk's music drops. He walks down to the ring in his ring gear, and he's continuing his open challenge thing that he's been doing. He's beat Seth Rollins now. He's beat Chad Gable on a pretty good run. And so he says, one of you come down here and face me. And it goes real quiet. It goes dark for a second. And then I Believe and Joe Hendry hits. And Joe Hendry answered the call and the crowd erupts. And this match is really back and forth. Hendry's pretty technical, and Punk is having to use every veteran advantage he has. But Hendry keeps getting the upper hand. He hits him with his suplexes, gets a couple 2 counts, hits a fall-away slam, gets a close 2 count, and then eventually Hendry gets Punk in a submission hold, and Punk's really in trouble now. He struggles to get a rope break, and this is kind of when he starts turning it around. He digs deep. He's getting Hendry. It's taking him down. He's getting ready to hit his GTS. Hendry actually slips out and rolls Punk up and gets like a 2.75 count, and the crowd's really going wild. Thinking Hendry almost pulled that out. Punk finally kind of digs deep, and he uses that veteran instinct. He's a little bit more used to longer matches, and he finally is able to connect his GTS and cover Hendry for the win. But after the match, Punk kind of looks at Hendry and nods at him as he leaves the ring, and the crowd is standing on their feet, sort of clapping for both men for a good opening match.
That is a good opening match. Very surprising. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. I told you there was a good one for CM Punk's open challenge.
Yeah, you did.
This cuts to backstage where LA Knight's standing by. And he's addressing Paul Heyman, who kind of warned him that Roman Reigns may or may not be returning and that he needs to be worried about the bloodline because Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa are coming for his title. And Knight kind of does what Knight does. He just said he's not worried about any of them. They know where to find him. He says it's just a fact of life that I need to defend this title, and I'll keep doing that as long as I have it around my waist. At the end, does his little with everybody saying trademark, cuts out, and we go to commercial.
Solid.
We come back, we get a women's tag team championship match. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven asked Adam Pearce to make this happen a couple weeks ago and got the Unholy Union to agree. And it's a hard-hitting contest. I mean, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are giving the Unholy Union all they can handle. They isolate Isla Dawn, and it's really Piper Niven who's kind of using her size to her advantage and really beating her down. But eventually it doesn't matter. The Unholy Union just kind of have this, I don't know, like dark synergy together. And Alba Fyre starts to make a comeback. She's taken down Green with a bunch of like high-impact moves, and she catches Green with like this roundhouse kick, and Alba Fyre sees it and hits her Swanton Bomb move, and gets the cover for a 1-2-3 match. Niven tried to run into the ring and break it up, but Isla Dawn just hit her with a running knee before she could, and Chelsea Green and Piper Niven just look real beat down in the middle of the ring. And the Unholy Union standing over them with their titles held in the sky.
That's what I'd like to see them actually do.
Yeah. And then it cuts to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, who are about to talk about matches at Bash in Berlin, but they're interrupted when they kind of see a cameraman running backstage. And cameraman catches up, and it's Becky Lynch just beating the hell out of Lyra Valkyria up and down the backstage area, throwing her into shipping containers, tossing her over tables, throwing food and trash at her. And eventually it ends. She climbs up on these shipping containers and hits Lyra with a manhandle slam on top of it. And when Pierce finally gets there, Becky just kind of throws her arms up and walks away, not before she whispers, "You let her interrupt, you let her do this, I'm just finishing it." And Pierce kind of gives that Adam Pearce look into the camera like, yeah, I fucked up.
That's such a good feud.
Yeah, I like it. It would be a good feud in real life.
Yeah.
And then we get the Miz and Sheamus in a one-on-one match. And the New Day is going to come out with the Miz. As you know, Kofi Kingston is his tag partner and Xavier Woods being a part of the New Day. And then the rest of the IFC will be in Sheamus's corner, Kevin Owens and Ilya Dragunov. Sheamus dominates this match early. Lots of power, kind of overwhelming the Miz. But the Miz, being a veteran, he's just kind of outsmarting Sheamus. He's getting him to miss a little bit. He's dodging. There's a distraction outside. The two teams kind of start brawling, and Kofi Kingston jumps on the apron to kind of backflip off the ropes, and it distracts the ref. Um, and when the ref turns around, he sees Sheamus going for a bro kick, but The Miz smartly kind of just lays on his belly, and Sheamus misses. And when he turns around, he gets hit with the skull crushing finale. And The Miz covers him and sneaks out of there with the win. And him and the New Day kind of hightail it up the ramp to celebrate. Knowing the IFC probably not too happy.
Solid.
All right. Then we cut to an interview taped kind of earlier in the night with Chad Gable. He's being interviewed backstage about how he wants to prove himself outside of just tagging with the Alpha Academy. And he has a match with Shinsuke Nakamura and says, I'm the best technical wrestler in the WWE, despite how good Nakamura is, and I feel like I've been overlooked. And Shinsuke interrupts the interview, and he's like, you haven't been overlooked. I have too, and I can't wait to put my name back in the running for a championship when I beat you tonight. And so this led to the match we're going to have now. It's competitive. I mean, they're both really technical, and Nakamura has that strong style that when he does get a hold of Gable, he's hitting him pretty good. Gable gets him in an ankle lock at one point. Nakamura, he's kind of bendy and real long-limbed. He escapes and counters Gable, throws him into the corner, hits him with a couple strikes, and sets him up for his Kinshasa, and he runs over there. He hits him in the face with his Kinshasa and covers him for a 3 count and wins. As he's celebrating, though, Gable doesn't take too kindly to losing, and he hits Nakamura from behind, stomps him down a little bit, and puts him in an ankle lock for a long time until refs are finally able to pull him off.
Okay, a little bit darker Chad Gable, who I have to keep reminding myself was with Alpha Academy on your show still.
Yeah.
That would be a really good match, though, too.
Yeah. And then we get it's Tiffy time. She's cutting a little promo. She talks about she's in the ring, how she was always the most dominant woman. Now she has the gold to prove it, and she can't wait to be the most dominant champion WWE has ever seen. And as she's going on, Bianca Belair's music finally hits. The crowd erupts. You know, they love Bianca. She's doing her signature dancing and stuff, walking to the ring. And she says, you might be on top now, but you haven't faced the EST yet. And she challenges Tiffy to put her title on the line, saying that I can't wait to take that from you. Tiffy kind of dismisses her, though, and says, why do you think you get to walk in here and demand a match? That's not how this works. And Bianca's like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to beat you down then to prove to you I need a match. And they kind of square, get real close to each other, but enough refs and security get down there before anybody does anything.
It's bold of her to try to blow her off like that.
It's a Tiffany Stratton thing to do.
It absolutely is.
All right, and that takes us to our main event. Last week in the main event, we had Seth Rollins team with Cody Rhodes against Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. And Cody Rhodes and Seth kind of came out victorious. So this week, it's just AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins in a one-on-one match for the main event. But Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre are at ringside. Drew not so much because he likes AJ Styles, but more to keep an eye on Cody Rhodes. So match, it's fast-paced like you would expect with these two. It's really a clinic back and forth technical moves. They each try to outdo each other with like a strike or some kind of slam or top rope maneuver. Eventually AJ's high-flying ability kind of just keeps rolling on the defensive. And he's having to use a lot of his athleticism and his own high-flying offense more than he's comfortable with. As the match goes, though, Cody and Drew outside the ring, they kind of start chirping at each other from across the way, and enough to distract the ref and Seth Rollins. AJ takes advantage of this, and when Rollins turns around, AJ's lined up for the phenomenal forearm, but Rollins smartly at the last second ducks. AJ pops up and gets hit with a super kick by Rollins, followed by his stomp, and Rollins secures the victory. As Cody and Drew are still talking outside, kind of approaching each other like they're about to rumble, security gets involved, and the show goes off air with them just kind of talking to each other and Seth in the ring sort of celebrating.
I honestly kind of expected AJ to win that one.
Yeah, you would thought.
Good Raw, though. Good Raw.
That's all she wrote. And I think that is technically my last Raw before Bash in Berlin.
Yeah, so next week will be my last SmackDown. We've got Bash in Berlin, and then your Raw afterwards.
Big show. And a new top 5 yet to be decided.
Yeah, that's going to be a regular thing going forward. We're going to have different little drafts or top 5s or arguments, just something to add a little bit more of us to the show rather than just talking about everything that's you actually watch each week.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Like, subscribe, share as much as we can. Give us some comments about that top 5 we had earlier in the show. I'm curious to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, I really want to see what we left off in your eyes, especially. Let us know how stupid we are for not having more of The Rock on there. Yeah, that was a really hard list to make, honestly.
It was a good first challenge. I don't think they'll all be that hard, but I'm looking forward to doing it every week.
I am too. It's a fun new little thing we're going to start adding in.
Well.
And with that in mind, like he said, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, repost our link to your pages so people can find our podcast and listen. Then we'll get even more people telling us how dumb we are for the quotes we picked. And follow me on TikTok, Instagram, the app formerly known as Twitter. I have a Threads account. Don't use it. That app is honestly the worst thing I've downloaded to my phone in quite a long time. But feel free to follow me, all of the above, see what's going on, watch me rage about things in real time while I'm watching sometimes. And we'll see you guys next week.